Hello everybody, welcome to the second video in our Python unit on Pythonic Code. In this video, we're going to introduce f-strings. So let's motivate this video by considering the following. Let's say I have a variable name that's called Yasmin, this is a string, and an integer n assigned to be 13. So let's run this cell. And now let's say I wanted to have the statement printed, hello name, nice to meet you, n times. Now here, I'd hope that name would get replaced with Yasmin, n would be replaced with 13, but of course, if I just put everything in quotes like this, Python doesn't know that name is special. It doesn't know that n is special. So as you might expect, we just get hello, name, nice to meet you, n times. So the point of this video is we're going to talk about, well, how could I get this name to show up how could I get Python to replace name with the variable name and with the variable n when we're dealing with strings. So the most elegant way to do this is going to be with something called f-strings, but I'm first going to show you a couple of methods that are not as elegant as f-strings, and then we'll end with seeing the best way to do it. So first thing we might try, we might try something like just passing a bunch of strings to the print statement. So we could say something like print, and we could say hello, and then comma, and then we have the variable name. Then we could do nice to meet you, and I'll put a space here. Then we could have n, comma, times. So let's see. So hello Yasmin, nice to meet you, and I guess I didn't need this space. And let's see, n times, so maybe I didn't need this space here either. So okay, not terrible, but I wanted that comma after Yasmin, so maybe we could put a comma here. But now we can see, okay, the spacing's a little bit off, and I'm sure there are ways that you could get this to format nicely, but that's not really the point of this video. Maybe takeaway of this is, okay, we could pass a bunch of things to a print statement like this, but it's cumbersome, right? Especially if we had a really long sentence or something like that, or a lot of variables, we wouldn't want to have to type it all out like this. So that's method one. It might be the first thing that you think of. Another way that's very similar, is we could use string concatenation. So I could do something like print, and then it's going to be very similar. I'm going to have hello, then plus name, plus, let's do nice to meet you, then plus n, and plus times. Now if I run this, there's going to be an error. This is a really subtle error, so maybe pause and think about if you see what it's going to be. But let's run it and take a look. So type integer here, and it's saying can only concatenate string, not into string. And what that's meaning is if we want to use these plus signs for string concatenations, well, then all of the things that I'm concatenating have to be strings. So there's a really simple fix. We can just cast n to a string. And then we can see here, hello Yasmin, let's put a space here, nice to meet you, let's do space, and then 13 times. So, okay, again, that looks like what we want, not terrible, but we had to do a lot of work to get it to format the way that we wanted. So, again, if we had a longer sentence, not the easiest thing to do. So, now I'm going to show you a way that was common for a long time. And if you're reading code, it's very likely you'll come across this way of doing things. F-strings are relatively new to Python, so all code going forward should be written using F-strings. But if you read code that was written in the past, it's likely going to use something called format. So let me show you how it works. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say, hello name, nice to meet you, n times. And then what I do is I say, okay, dot format. And I say, okay, what's the first variable I need to let Python know is a variable? It's this name variable here. So what I'm going to do is instead replace name with curly braces and then put name as the first argument to format. And then what's the second thing I need? I need n. So again, replace n with curly braces, put n. So we can see here, hello Yasmin, nice to meet you 13 times. So again, this is something that you might see if you're reading old code, but it's not kind of the current best way of doing things. That's going to be what I'm going to show you next. So these are called F strings. So the way it works is you type F to let Python know you're going to be using an F string, then your quotes, and we say hello, comma, and then everywhere that you want to have a variable, you do curly braces and then the variable name. So hello name, nice to meet you, and in curly braces, times. So we can see here, hello Yasmin, nice to meet you 13 times. So it works exactly as we want. It's a little bit nicer than the format method, right? Because in the format, I had to keep track of the order of things as they appeared. So I had to say, okay, first name appears and then n. Whereas here, as soon as you kind of have a variable that you want to put, you just put what the variable is called in curly braces, and kind of Python knows what to do. So that's the basic syntax for F strings. In the second part of this video, I want to show you a couple of string formatting options. So let's kind of show you what I mean. Let's say I have m, a variable equal to 3 to the power of 20. And if I evaluate m, so let's take a look at m. So here it's this big number. And I could try something like f, so f string, and then put m in curly braces. And we can see here, okay, that just, the only difference is now it's just a string. But maybe I want to view this using exponential notation, right? Like maybe this is kind of too much for me to look at it once. So what I can do is I can say, again, f quotes m. And the way that we can format is we do a colon, and then we can do e for exponential. So we can see here, well, now it's saying it's 3.48 something, something, something by 10 to the 9. So what's the point of me showing you these examples? I'm going to show you a couple more, but the point is not for you to memorize kind of all of the different formatting options. I'm never going to ask you, okay, like format the string in exponential form doing blah, blah, blah. It's more just I want to show you what's out there. And kind of if you're in a situation where you'd like to do some string formatting, here's an example that you can kind of look back to see the basics of it. If you Google online, there's all kinds of examples, so you could really fall down a rabbit hole of kind of getting into string formatting. So again, it's just something that I want you to know exists. But let's see a couple more examples. Another thing that I could do is I could do f for f string, quotes, again, m, colon, to let Python know we're going to be doing string formatting. Then what I can do is I can say, okay, if I put an f here, that means interpret the number as a float or interpret it as a float. And then the dot 4 means give me 4 places after the decimal. Oops. So we can see here, that's our number m, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 places after the decimal point. So not super useful for m in this case because it was an integer, but what if we tried something like 1 divided by m, right? So for instance, if I do 1 divided by m, it's saying here, okay, like 2.86 blah, blah, blah by 10 to the negative 10. That's a lot to look at. So what if instead we did f string m, let's format it as .4f, so meaning just give me 4 places after the decimal. Oops, and I did m instead of 1 over m. So here we can see, okay, 0, 0, 0, 0, so we should probably have more points. So let me copy this, and instead of 4 places after the decimal, what if we said 15 places after the decimal? So we can see here, we get this number, and maybe that's a little bit nicer to look at than something like this. Okay, so maybe I'll show you one more example, something that's kind of fun. So we've already seen a little bit of binary in this class. So let's now pick a smaller number. Let's say z is equal to 17. And what I can do is I can say f string z colon, and then if I type b here, what this is going to do is say format z in binary. So we can see here, this is 2 to the 0 times 1, so that's 1 plus 0 times 2 plus 0 times 4 plus 0 times 8 plus 1 times 16, so that's 16 plus 1 is 17. So pretty cool. And I think this is a good place to end the video. Again, I don't expect you to just kind of know all of these string formatting options. I just want you to know that this is an option and how to look for it if you ever find yourself wanting to use something like this in your code. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.